we've noticed in the same kind of forest area you have a number of these small ponds.
Yes.
Can you want to kind of walk us through
So
their significance to the area and then kind of what you use it for as well?
of course, it adds to the natural, biodiversity as well. Fish, frogs, insects, birds, all sorts of things animals benefit from the water. It also cools the area as well because
a little evaporation.
Evaporation. Any wind that passes through it cools down, so the area becomes cooler. The ponds were to cater to the water plants. So yeah, once I figured out, once I learned that there were plants that grow underwater, you can only imagine. I mean, air plants.
It was only
now
a matter
water
of time,
plants. So it killed my entire childhood because I had aquariums with plastic plants. I could have been doing a whole lot of other things, but I guess I found them now. So.
There's quite a bit of diversity just because looking in through here, I
Yes,
don't know if I'll be able to catch it, but there's
that's
a little tadpole.
Yeah.
And these are then naturally occurring. You
Yes.
have not introduced frogs. They found their way into here, isn't it?
Yes. So they do, I guess the fish do eat part of the tadpoles when they're very young.
Yeah.
So it does control their population. Our cats also control their population. So it does keep it at because obviously you don't want to have an infestation of frogs.
Yeah.
I'm sure there must be a bunch of other animals eating them as well. Those are actually water snails.
Yeah, I was going to say you've got little snail shells here as well.
So they actually are alive. They eat a lot of the algae. They are also part of the ecosystem, I guess.
Yeah.
Once we go to the aquarium, I'll show you a couple of them.
And are they also naturally occurring, or did you introduce them when you did with the fish?
I introduced them in this place.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure if they could just randomly come. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't exactly move very quickly.
Yeah, unless maybe through the rainy season there's a possibility, but I did introduce them to these. So we have plastic at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then we kind of build a step when we're digging. We have a step where we can kind of put the rocks to hide the side of the plastic, right? At the bottom we don't put anything like soil, or you could add something. But if you just kind of let the layer form itself, it would be the healthiest.
Yeah.
So mostly dust particles that would enter would kind of settle to the bottom. Obviously leaves, everything that would decompose would create a layer at the bottom to.
So is there a time of year where there's a little bit more maintenance on this though? Because presumably as we enter the dry season from the rainy season, there might be more leaf drop at that time.
Yes.
So you do have to remove some of it though.
Yeah. So during you wouldn't put a pond like this in a place that doesn't have a tree, because we're not having any filter, we're not having any pump. Would allow the algae to go crazy with too much sunlight. So you would have to have it under a tree. In fact, it's having more plants and having less light that allows you to have that clear without the algae. I mean, you can't get rid of algae completely. You have a lot on the side, but that becomes fish for the food. It becomes fish for the frogs. It becomes a whole balance. Yeah. So at this point, the water is like crystal clear.
Yes, it is very, very clear.
Yeah.
But you then, as you say, you have these plants that are also taking out some of that nitrogen that is then being created by the fish, by the degradation of the
another benefit
material.
I think is that these grow really fast and they do cover up very fast. And what I tell my gardener to do, or I do it as well, is we just take the net, scoop it up, and we actually just throw them into the beds, which works as compost as well. And because it's really fast growing, you're generating a lot of compost material as well. The fish obviously are a good addition to the garden as well. You're adding to your nature, you're adding to something to look at in the garden as well. We have these plants as well. So with the plants, with underwater plants, you have different types. You have some that would only stay underwater, would never emerge.
Fully submerged.
So fully submerged. And then you get some that would grow under and then grow
like
out.
The more commonly known water lilies, which would be the main one.
All those. But there's a specific one, like, so for example, like this, where I'll show you, it's called the Amazon sword. It's this one here, actually, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, in the future, its leaves would only be outside instead of inside. It would kind of grow like this.
Okay, so it comes up and grows above,
it would
effectively.
become this. But you can't start it like this.
Yeah, it has to start underground.
And then you have these as well, which would pretty much just root out, starting in the water. but they can also kind of grow.
This looks like we have species of this in Zambia.
This is
indigenous?
Yes, this is indigenous.
Yeah, so it's probably a Ludwigia species.
Ludwigia, yes. Yeah. So these actually as well, if you wanted, you could put them completely submerged. They'll do the same, and then they'd come out. Yeah. And then we have the ones that float at the top, which would be these here. Yeah. And then we have these, which you could either have them floating or you could have them all the way at the bottom. But naturally, they'd be at the bottom going upwards. Yeah.
And doing this kind of thing when they reach the top, where they just kind of spread out.
Yes. Yeah. And then we have these as well, the what do they call
it?
Oh,
horsetails.
Yeah, those are very good water. Pretty much any grass would grow in water as long as only the roots are submerged.
What I see around here that you don't have, or should I say I don't see very much, you don't have very many ferns, which would be kind of assumed to be the thought would be the more or less.
I did actually have one, and it didn't actually do very well, surprisingly.
Okay.
It was in here.
Somewhere in there.
So when I planted, this was actually the first pond that we tested out with. And when I planted, when I put it, I tried a couple of all these different terrestrial plants. So I had the fern. Actually, I had the. This is doing really well in water. The Philodendron moonshine. Okay. This is a Hamilomena. It's growing in water. Its roots are fully submerged.
Yeah, because there are a number of aroids that require water too, as well.
Exactly. So I tried out on the aroids. The alocasias do very well.
Yeah.
That guy has just struggled because somebody keeps knocking it over. I'm pretty sure it's one of the cats. They like to drink water from here as well.
Okay. Yeah. Shall we have a look at the other pond? The other pond is a little more sun then?
Yeah. I wanted to show you the Amazon sword, the way it comes out.
Okay. Yeah.
So in this pond here, you can see the full. So you can see what has happened now. It's grown out.
Okay, yes. Yeah. So they call that Amazon sword.
Yeah.
We should call that Amazon club. It's
it does
more
have
round at the very
it's supposed to, I think, have a more, but I think maybe because it's getting too much shade.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting water plants, but we just don't really make use of it as much.
Most of the aroids, even I think the bromeliads could do well in water. Just kindly slightly dipped inside, not too much, because they are epiphytic, but there are also a lot of terrestrial ones. I think the terrestrial ones could do very well in water.
Well, then there's also quite a few sedges and things like that.
Yeah.
One that I've always wanted to have is the papyrus.
With the big
with those massive 3 meter tall, palms and stuff like that. But for that, you'd need something full sun. That requires that full sun.
I do have one pond in full sun. It's not bad. I mean, it's the water is green, kind of like this.
Yeah.
So this is one I just set up very recently. It's more of a stock pond for the plants.
Yeah.
So in this one, I kind of want the entire bottom is just going to be green compared to the other ones.
Oh, I see. So stock plants of these down here that are in there, the ones that are really in the ground, effectively. Okay.
So compared to all the other ponds, this one actually has a layer. So where I've put, similar to the fish tanks, I put a layer of compost and then a layer of river sand at the top. Okay. So I kind of want an entire garden bed at the bottom instead of
And this one you are then growing. So this is not exactly a water lily, is it?
It is.
It is.
It grew from
Nymphea.
Yeah, these are the ones that they call the Luangwa lily, the bluish.
Oh yeah, the almost like not really the Egyptian blue, because it's a different one that we have.
So this is all grown by seed. I have my cluster over that side.
Must be quite exciting in the same way that you would normally look at a garden coming up. Like this is essentially just a water garden now with the same thing. Because I'm seeing then you got little ones coming up in here, little things developing.
It's all part of aquascaping, even the ponds. But I prefer the name water gardening because it's literally gardening,
Yeah, gardening in the water, effectively.
Yes. Yeah, and this is that's the flower. Perfect timing as well. So.
Oh, look at that! Yeah.
So these are all the other seedlings where I've just kind of stocked them in here.
Okay.
The seeds I had pushed them in this.
Into the
and then some of them actually
horsetail.
Fell out. Yeah, some of them fell out. They're all kind of growing in this area. Getting them untangled when somebody wants to buy one is quite a.
Yes, I can imagine. So there's the. And this, you're saying so. This is our indigenous one then.
Yes. So that's the parent. No, not actually the parent. The parent plant is over that side. But yes, that will be a fully grown specimen.
They are stunning plants. I must admit, in my consultation work, I don't pay as much attention to the water because, you know, I don't do nearly so many projects that require that. But there are an interesting bunch of a group of plants that
do
require, you know, either slow moving like this, and to me, actually, the most interesting ones are the ones that require fast moving water.
Yes, yes.
If somebody wanted to have a pond but is not willing to do it in the ground, how would you suggest they go about doing something like this, as you've got here?
Yeah, so our local pot makers, they could help you out. If you could actually get one that already doesn't have a hole, I'm sure they do make them already. But if you like the shape of it and it has the hole, you can just kind of tell them to cover it. Once you have your pot, you could also use a plastic dish, but obviously this is more aesthetically pleasing. Yeah, so you should have a layer of black soil or compost at the bottom, and then on top of it you want to put your river sand. Although in this one I didn't put any river sand because it wasn't supposed to be a fish pond, it was just supposed to hold water plants. But then it kind of cleared out itself. So the idea of the river sand is to not allow whatever is underneath to mix with the water, right?
Yeah.
So when I filled this up, it was like really brown and muddy.
Yeah.
I couldn't see anything.
How long did that take them to settle then? If somebody was to do that, what kind of time frame would they expect for it to settle before it gets a little
depending
clear?
on the season, I think this time of the year, especially because of the rain filtering it, maybe within a week or two it should clear out.
Okay, so
it's not so bad. But if you want that instant gratification, then you can have your compost, put a layer of river sand at the top, and as you're adding your water, put a plastic so the water touches the plastic.
It goes and then spills over slowly.
Yeah. So when planting your plants, push the roots all the way into the compost. It shouldn't just touch onto the river sand, it should go all the way to the compost for them to grow effectively.
And then what would your advice be on developing the aesthetic of it? Because I really like how you've got the horsetail together with the alocasia here.
I think you treat it the same. Anything that kind of grows tall in the back, and anything that kind of grows short, you put it in the front. So you have that. I like the contrasting growth of them. It's a reason why.
But then also the color too, where you're getting that darker stem up against the lighter of the thing. I see you've also got a. Should this also be a darker one, or is this?
No, that is the color.
That's a different species, a different selection.
You can see the whole different selection of.
Oh, I see. Just on this side.
They all do well. These are actually not alocasias, calocasias.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is what we get taro from.
Yeah, taro, the one that is edible. Yes. So same family of taro, but different colors, different patterns.
Yeah.